Obviously, most of y'all do not grasp the magnitude of what happened with Comet Atlas. First of all, please understand how important of a scientific instrument telescope Hubble is. It is booked at least 5 years in advance. Seniority takes privilege over everything. The fight to book time with telescope Hubble is a career making or breaking event. And then the government has its own time. So everything is just scheduled. There's no gap, there's no, oh, let's take a look at this because it's just interesting. That doesn't happen with telescope Hubble. And for it to be watching Comet Atlas, its arrival, and then its ultimate destruction, and to come out with 3 grainy, lousy images, maybe one more on its first arrival, and even that was far below the ability of this breathtakingly modern and super expensive telescope. Man, it can see galaxies 14 to 20 billion years into the past. And you're telling me that it's come up with 3, 4 grainy, crappy images of Comet Atlas and its destruction? Come on, man. This is all so weird. Cue the music. Roll the tape. So, what do you think that was that you saw? Do you think I got my hands on some secret, maybe high-level, ultra duper super NASA stuff? No. No, this is just a random video that I pulled from the internet. Roll this tape with sound going, and it's going to be a little bit longer because you have to understand what happened to Comet Atlas. Okay, roll tape.
HDTV has acquired.
Frog headed, but it's out of the window. Please confirm.
Mike, it's out of your view. I saw some outbursts.
That's true, Frog lost it.
There's a huge burst.
There was the burst. Frog didn't get it.
We have debris.
Wow. Keep searching, Michael. HDTV has a pretty nice view. We got that explosion. Oh, wow.
Can we get an altitude call?
If you have a chance to look out of the window, look out of the window because the view is
Peter, tell
spectacular.
Spectacular.
Spectacular. Whoa!
Break.
Woo!
Peter, tell me if we need to
object is gradually moving by us. It is almost boss.
Do we keep turning? Tell me if you keep
Yes,
turning.
please keep turning.
Mission Director, please ask keep turning.
Go ahead.
And they'd like to keep turning to follow the debris field here.
Okay, keeping the turn. Welcome. Any new heading?
What you saw there was the destruction of a European space freighter burning up in the sky. So this didn't just blow up because of gravity or because it was too dense or was too compact or the ice or something. No, this is classic explosion of something being impacted by something else. Something caused this to explode in the manner it did. It was going at a high velocity. The cause for explosion occurred, and all the remaining bits continued upon its trajectory until they were snuffed out and burnt out by the atmosphere. And this happened over in uninhabited space. I'll have the link in the show notes below. But this is what happened to Comet Atlas. Comet Atlas was coming to our inner solar system at a very high rate of speed. When I first read about it, I saw and I made a note that the plume was enormous, that that it was half the size of the sun, the coma. And so what was the core of this? Was it half the size of the sun? Or what was the core of this object that was coming into our inner solar system at such a high rate of speed? And I made a note of 93,000 miles per hour. I made a note of that, and I can't find that on the internet anywhere else. And I got that from the internet news. I didn't just make that number up. So that number has been scrubbed. The government's doing a good job because they are trying to protect us from something that's going on in space. But Comet Atlas was coming at a high rate of speed, very large, and the color was green, not the usual white of a comet coming into our solar system. And it was certainly coming in too fast and too bright to be a normal comet. That observation has been I don't want to say justified, but someone else made that observation, and that's data 1B4. Also corroborated that observation. We both made that observation independently, that this comet was coming in way too bright, way too bright. It was abnormal. And again, it comes in threes. Oumuamua was completely abnormal, and we've already established that it had its own source of propulsion, and it was under its own navigation. So it was not being impacted by gravity. It was doing its own thing. It accelerated as it was leaving our solar system in an unnatural trajectory. So then there was Comet Borisov. Again, Borisov. Now that's so bothersome because this comet was coming in hot and fast too. And it was coming in so hot and fast that an amateur spotted it and was able to name it. The United States of America has a program called Atlas. That's where Comet Atlas got its name. And this Atlas program is supposed to be out there looking for a Comet Borisov. And Borisov was obvious. So there was a reason that Atlas did not name Comet Borisov, because they didn't want Comet Borisov to be public, because it was coming in interstellar, just like Oumuamua did. And so obviously the very important powers that be weren't advertising this bad boy. Unfortunately, and fortunately for the public like us, an amateur saw it, an amateur was able to get some press attention, and so boom, there goes Borisov. And so unfortunately the government had to study it, and then different governmental agencies did study it, and unfortunately came out with the uncomfortable fact that it was leaking cyanide and carbon one molecule at a time. So this was a propulsion system of some kind, and it was outgassing a lot of carbon monoxide. What outgasses carbon monoxide? Well, living beings. Carbon dioxide, that can be recycled and can be reworked, but carbon monoxide is super poisonous. So you want to exhale that. You want to vent the carbon monoxide. You can do something with the carbon dioxide and a lot of the stuff that we exhale, because we also exhale oxygen, we also exhale hydrogen. We don't consume everything that we inhale. It's a process. But the one thing that we exhale that's super poisonous, that's got to go, carbon monoxide. What was Borisov outgassing at a high level, 24 times the normal rate? Carbon monoxide. All right, so those three are definitely given unique properties and showing intelligent life. Sorry, there's just no other description of those two objects. Everybody that's Darwinian is going to get themselves in an uproar and go into the comments section and start denouncing me. Go to town, but sorry, facts are facts. We have facts. Why did the Pentagon, point number 2, why did the Pentagon humiliate itself by doing a complete 180 on them UFOs, man? I mean, they have the planet believing that there's no such thing as UFOs, and if you start talking about UFOs, well, you're in that ancient aliens territory. And I'm not going to say it was the aliens, but it was the aliens. Who was right now? Who is right? The crazy loonies talking about UFOs, or the Pentagon? Because the Pentagon and the crazies just met up. And point number 3, to wrap this video up, the pandemic and not the excitement, but the oxygen sucking effect and the ability for peoples to get so wrapped up in something and begin the denial process so early in their thinking capabilities, nothing else enters their system, and it's a stressor, and it's the 7 layers of grief. It has been called, and the first stage and the strongest stage is denial. So once you're in that denial stage, and a lot of people are in the denial stage or the overwhelmed stage of the pandemic, then very else can enter their system. And what cannot enter their system right now, that is just hitting the tilt markers. Tilt, ding, 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 ding. Those of us that are 50 and over know what tilt means, and those of you 40 and under really don't get it. But it's when you play pinball and you shake the pinball table too much to try to get the ball to go the way you want to, there's a little meter in there that says tilt, tilt, tilt. And so right now, 95% of the world is in a tilt, tilt, tilt mental cycle. And so anything else that enters their system is going to be rejected. And it's just funny, the reaction that I get when I comment to people. You know, the day before yesterday that the Pentagon reversed course on UFOs. Oh, everybody knows that UFOs going on, and go get into something else and just go. They don't really internalize the fact that the United States government, the Department of Defense, the people that are having wars around the world, they are acknowledging that there are aliens. And not only that there are aliens, but these aliens are present on planet Earth actively. That's what those 3 videos indicate, that we have aliens, they are on the planet Earth, and they They are here, and they have advanced technology that we can't even begin to imagine. I know a few commenters say, no, that's our government. We've got that kind of technology in our government because we've got something in Area 51. Area 51 is important, but no, we ain't got that kind of technology, folks. It takes a lot of industry and advanced technology to be able to build that, and we're having a hard time with the electric cars. Okay, put this logistically into reality, that to develop crafts like that, you have to have a very large industry that can stay super quiet and be able to be able to put that out in a sizable fashion that these UFOs are exhibiting. And the one thing that you know in the internet community and in the dark web and in the information web and the intellectual dark web is that there's just very few secrets that the government can keep, and it has to make a very, 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 very big effort to do so. And to tie in industry to be able to create stuff and keep a secret is virtually impossible for the federal government to do. They do it, but it's just on a small scale. Just the Blackbird project. You know, we didn't have a lot of Blackbird planes. People thought, we have a huge fleet of those things. Now I think we got up to 12 Blackbirds. So, you know, to do something and then to have such an elevated technology, you have to scale up to that kind of stuff. We haven't, we can't, we don't. There's alien technology, there's aliens on the planet. If there's aliens in the planet, then there's aliens in our solar system. And a lot of the videos that we have been seeing of a giant ball and the activity of Venus indicate high activity for the aliens, folks, the ETs. They're here, they're around us. And I think strongly that Comet Atlas was coming in hot and fast and mad and angry with bad intentions. Why do you say that, Charles? You have to study our human history. You have to get to the Sumerians, then you get to the civilizations before the Sumerians, and then you have to study the civilizations before the civilization before the Sumerians. And that is the civilization before the Great Flood. If you can't put your mind to that civilization, then you're hard pressed to understand what I'm talking about. There's probably about 40 of y'all right now watching that really know what I'm talking about the pre-flood civilization that lived on this planet, lived and thrived. And I'm going to say about, this private video will get up to 600 or 700 views, so 700 of y'all are not going to have a clue as to the civilization on this planet before the Great Flood. Most of y'all can't even acknowledge a Great Flood. So it takes a lot of studying and a lot of intense study to understand the different civilizations that were here: pre-Christian, pre-Judeo-Christian, Sumerian, pre-Sumerian. It's hard, it's complicated. So I'm on it. The Breadcrumbs Project is doing this thing. I'm also going to enjoy a little bit of unraveling the Shakespeare mystery too. I'm going to do that video next, and just get that gray matter working and understanding how conspiracies happen, because Shakespeare was a big conspiracy, a big cover-up, and one that I'm enjoying uncovering. And what happened to Comet Atlas is a cover-up. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy uncovering that. Not sure how far I'm going to get either. You know, a lot of times they don't like us connecting the dots. Peace.